Last night I had the most amazing show. I performed like it was a sold out crowd to an empty room because nobody came. But it was still so amazing, honestly. And here's why. Years ago, when I first started doing my live shows here in the Bay Area, I didn't know any musicians, I didn't know any other singers. I just knew that I wanted to start challenging myself and I wanted to start to sing my songs that I had written and recorded and perform in front of people again because that has always kind of been my biggest fear. And I had fell off for a while. And when I got to the Bay Area and got settled, I just got my jobs and I was drinking a lot with my ex and we were just partying and it was great and it was fun. But it was time for me to get back to my dreams and my goals and my passion, most importantly. And so I started doing these live shows. I found a band. I was working at this bar and restaurant, beautiful space, and they have this beautiful rooftop. And so I asked if I could take over that rooftop for live music once a month, and I did that, and it was a hit. We had sold out shows for a year, and it was amazing. I had gotten most of my following from my bar guests because I was their bartender. And so, we'd be taking shots, I'd be telling them about my show, and then they'd come and it's actually good. And not only was the music good, not only was it refreshing, but it was good for the community as well. I started to see the way that people would leave or how they felt when they left and experienced this event. I would bring in different artists from all over the Bay Area to perform with me in the band. And we always had some guest features, some dope guest features. And it was really dope. I'm really proud of that. And at that year end, I decided to bring all the guests back, do a whole big show. And then I ended that chapter, I say. I wasn't keen on the band that I had at the time. I just felt there was too much ego going on. It wasn't pleasurable. It wasn't fun for me. And the entire time, I'm investing in the way that I could. We sell tickets, however many tickets we could sell. But if those tickets didn't sell, that band still had to be paid. So if we, even selling out, you could only do so much capacity on the rooftop. So even selling out would almost get us quite there, but I would have to come out of pocket, this is my dream, it's my vision. Yes, that's what you got to do. But I just felt a little underappreciated, and like I said, it was too much ego. So we're like, let's regroup, So I decided to take some time off from doing the show for a while. And in that time I took off, I was approached by this guy on Instagram who had heard my music and really loved what I was doing with my music and my shows and wanted to introduce me to some really powerful people and offer me a record deal. And it felt great because finally I felt like somebody was paying attention, somebody saw me, somebody saw value in what I was doing in my music and maybe wanted to invest in me. It just felt really good to be seen in that way. And so at first I was very apprehensive because, it sounded really good. But after a while, about a couple weeks, no one asked me for anything. They were just, being very communicative with me and very positive, and it was a good situation. Like, it sounded good, but it ended up being a scam. It ended up being a $20,000 scam. It ended up taking 6 months for me to get away from these people. And it was the worst time of my life. I sold everything of value that I had, all my clothes, electronics, all that. I was down to nothing and in debt. I was unsure at the time whether I'd be able to keep my apartment. Like, I was buying $3 bottles of wine at Trader Joe's just to get by, scrounging up change for McDonald's. It was just really bad. And I had to make a decision. Like, I didn't want to be depressed anymore. So I could either be broke and sad and depressed, or I could be broke and grateful and happy and hopeful. And so I decided to get back to work. I hadn't had a haircut in months. So I had to ask for the job. I quit back and get back to work. And when I got back to work, I was looking worse off than when I left. And I was supposed to be leaving to get rich. And I got back to work and I just had to strip my ego. You know, I had to just do away with my ego, because what good is my ego if I'm not happy? What good is ego, period, honestly? You know, so I got back to work, and slowly but surely I started to do my music again. And slowly I rebuilt my life. I got a whole new team, a whole new band. I have background singers now, which is crazy for me. And just not any background singers, like really good singers. And I was able to perform my music like I never had before, and hear my music in ways I never had, and experiment with my music. And so we started doing shows again, and I kept it consistent. And this time, I knew what I was doing a little bit, but not really. I just kept it going and figured it out along the way, as I'm still doing to this day. But we got venue after venue, and we were building up the fan base again. We were building up our supporters again. And we got this brand new venue in Oakland recently, brand new, beautiful space. And I wanted to get into this space before any other performers did. So I got in before they even built their stage. I performed with my band just so I could be the first to perform on the stage when they built it. And that's what happened. We ended up getting a residency at this beautiful location, this beautiful music venue. And when we got this, it was so great because for the first time, I didn't have to come to the show and be carrying all the mics and all the equipment and figuring out sound. This was an actual music venue, and we had a stage with sound, with everything we need, mics, all that. So it was great. And so we did 4 shows there so far, and we've built up every show. I mean, we went from having 15 people in there and quadrupling that, and then continuing to add to the supporters and the ticket sales. So I locked in 6 months of shows at this new venue. This would be the start of my new residency here. And my last show was last night. We didn't even make it to month 2 of my residency because this venue abruptly closed its doors. And so they asked me to perform one last time. And I was apprehensive, but I was like, sure, why not? You know, anytime I get to perform, why not? I mean, I love to do it, so, but there was no marketing involved. I honestly didn't even know if the venue would even open its doors for this show. It was a lot of miscommunication going on. And so showtime came last night and had the band ready, and my vocals on point. I'm ready, got lyrics locked in, everything. I get to the venue, we can't get in at first, but we ended up getting in, getting up, set up. Nobody came. And I think I would have been discouraged, a lot more discouraged, if I wasn't in the space that I'm in right now, mentally, and everything else, honestly. I stopped drinking. Today is day 97 of me not drinking. And before, not only was I drinking, but I had to drink before a show. I had to have some shots before a show to get rid of the nerves and the jitters. And because I was drinking so heavily before, this would have hit me in a totally different way, because it would have felt as though I was failing. It would have felt as though I wasn't good enough. I don't know that I would have even performed. I wouldn't have performed as well as I did last night. I'm 97 days sober. And it's because I decided to stop drinking alcohol, honestly. Like, the show was still so amazing, and the people who were there, all 15 of them, felt so good when they were there and as they were leaving. And that's the only thing that matters to me, honestly. You know, how people feel about the experience, and whether or not this made their life better, if not only for an hour, a few minutes or so, you know what I mean? And so I just love that I can perform these days without having to take shots to get rid of the anxiety or the nerves. I'm so glad that my voice, I'm so much more confident about my voice. And, you know, to be able to do a 3-hour long show and my voice sound better than ever. If you're thinking about giving up alcohol, all I'll say is this: everything in your life improves, period. Life still happens, but the way you deal with life is so much more graceful. Like, it's so much easier because you're not clouded in judgment, and you have clarity, you have a confidence. And all I know is that everything is happening just the way it's supposed to be happening. And so I'm going to keep counting these days. I'm going to keep experiencing life. I'm going to keep having fun, elevating and expanding. And I hope to build a great community of sober people who are living extraordinary, fun lives that we don't need to escape from.